the Athletic reporter that covers the Giants expects them to rest everybody. And I would say the line is 100% reflective of that, right? Because that's not just like, oh, Jalen might return. I don't think it's a 14-point line, right?
No.
So I think it's pretty clear. And my thought was on Sunday night for the Giants, like, listen, you're playing with house money. No one expects you to do this. Why wouldn't you try to win 10 games, beat the Eagles? They just kicked your ass a couple weeks ago, go into the playoffs with a bunch of momentum. And I talked to a buddy in the league who's on a playoff team, and I was like, I hear what you're saying, but no one thinks like that in the league because one guy breaks his collarbone, one guy breaks an ankle, one guy pulls a hamstring and has to miss a game. All of a sudden, if you're the Giants, you go, well, let's look at the standings right now. The 49ers are playing, honestly, Dillingham's team might beat this version of Kingsbury's team, and he coaches Arizona State. And this team's a joke. So the Niners, I think it's fair to say, are going to win if they just try a little. They're playing David Plow. So you go, well.
Plow or Plow?
It's a great question. Don't know.
Okay, keep on.
But you're playing the Minnesota Vikings, who you almost beat a couple weeks ago. So it's like you could win that game. And then your second game, who knows what happens? Like I said, injuries, weird things happen. We saw the 49ers as almost a touchdown underdog last year against what looked like Aaron Rodgers going to win Super Bowl again, man. There's going to be a second Super Bowl. And what fucking happened? It actually crossed my mind a little yesterday. Like, how crazy is it that fucking punt blocked? Honestly, the punt block, not as crazy, as they were just in a position that a punt block touchdown late in a game when their offense did nothing could win them the game.
I was thinking about that game yesterday too, actually.
But his point was like, weird shit happens, man. We've just seen it too many times. This is not the college football playoffs where it's like, yeah, you're playing Ohio State, you're in a little trouble here if they care. Like, that's not the way the NFL works. First and foremost, it just starts with like, wouldn't they believe like we're playing the Minnesota Vikings minus 19 playoff differential that we almost just beat? Why couldn't we beat them?
Absolutely. Dan Duggan, I think this is the guy you're talking about, said, after reviewing Buffalo's history in these spots and listening to Dable today, I think they'll treat the finale more like a preseason game. Starters play some, but not the full game. We'll see.
Difference is you can dress everybody in those preseason games, right?
Yeah, you don't have like the guys that you dress have to play, right, in the NFL, unless you're only going to sit a couple of them, which makes, well, we'll get to the Niners in a second, but the point of this conversation,
because the Eagles do, if the Eagles try, which they 100% are going to try because they have the number one seed on the line.
They've been trying for 2 weeks to win that thing. And that game's at the same time as the Niners game, right?
125.
Yeah, 125 Pacific. But so the Eagles are 13-3. If the Eagles win, they're 14-3. Nobody can catch them. If they lose, then the Niners would have to also win, and then they would have the one seed. But playing a Giants team that it's like a triple whammy. I think a Giants team that's locked into the 6th seed, an Eagles team that's now lost 2 in a row, right, and a return of Jalen Hurts. Where I got to think, like, if you're going to come back, like, you're going to come back and try and play well before the playoffs start. So there's just a lot that points to the Giants not.
Hear me out on this one.
Okay.
If you're the Niners, you would just say, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, assuming it's been rainy in the Bay, I know, but let's just say it's a sunny 68-degree day, and it's throwing the ball weather. Couldn't you argue that Giants' uncommon opponent, new coach, just they play in a way that actually pre-Purdy was very similar to you, just kind of the uglier version. You have a lot of history with the Green Bay Packers. The schemes, the coach, the quarterback, your defensive guys playing Aaron Rodgers. It's a pretty common opponent. It's not quite division common, but it's
saying you'd rather play the Packers.
Would you say out of division, there's a more common opponent for this Niners team than the Green Bay Packers over the last 4 years?
Doesn't feel like it. Maybe Atlanta feels semi-common.
They've played Atlanta a lot. But they played the Green Bay Packers several times, twice in the same year, right? Because in the playoffs and in the regular season. They've played Aaron Rodgers a ton the last since like Warner and Bosa and Greenlaw and those guys have been there. Jimmy Ward.
New Orleans, although maybe a little less so the last couple of years, but yeah.
But they've had turnover. Like I'm talking about the LaFleur
This team.
Rodgers operation.
These people. So,
Now,
so is that what you're getting at? That you think there's a chance?
I'm just saying you could make the argument.
I think you could make the argument that the Giants are just a little more stressful to play. Now, one team's got Aaron Rodgers, and you feel like, God, if karma's a real thing, we stole one from them last year. Or do we owe somebody something for what happened last year in Lambeau? They don't.
Yeah, I told someone the other day. Let's just say Aaron Rodgers has one more moment in him in his NFL career. Wouldn't it be like making a run as a 7 seed, winning 6 straight games, getting the playoffs?
Worst quarterbacks have done it.
Start knocking off, like he knocked off the 49ers 13-4. He knocked off the Eagles. He got his revenge against the Giants. Like it was set up. And then it was like,
look at this NFC.
Took on Mahomes.
Look at this NFC. Like, okay. Right. Yeah.
Niners do own them. I mean, they never lose to them when it matters.
No,
ever.
I know. But I do think there's something to be said for when I watch the Giants, and I've watched them a fair amount. I know you have too. I think a lot of people have. They've been on TV a lot. They're you kind of joke about them. They're kind of a joke, but they're not. They are definitely not a joke. Let me be clear. But I just mean you're like, oh, this team with Daniel Jones, they can't possibly be. But then I watch them, and I think they have good players. They have good players. And to me, all it takes, we've talked about this, all it takes is like 2 first-half interceptions, and your whole thing can go sideways. It's like the Niners are out here just blowing it. I mean, the Niners blow some teams out, but they don't blow teams out that hang with them, which is what's so unique about that Raider game.
Even a behind-the-back tipped-out fumble, right? Like it's happened to the Niners, to Kittle and Ayuk before, right? Oh, this is a 17-yard game. Oh, my, where'd the ball?
Yeah,
right? That happens. The inopportune time. A field goal hits the upright instead of being up 10-0.
Look at Robbie the other day.
You know what's crazy?
You have to play the game. Like
earlier
this game doesn't get played on paper.
What's crazy earlier in the game, when they went up 27-24, similar field goal, at least, again, I don't have the yardage in front of me, a little farther away. He approached it like a draw. He kind of took it off the right and just drew it in.
Where was the ball placed?
Same spot, probably hash. Yeah, but what are the hashes in the NFL? They're relatively close, right? It's not college.
Hash or college
hash. But my point is, he approached it from that angle. This one, they did the middle. He tried to play like a cut, or maybe he'd say, "I just hit it wrong. I just tried to play it straight." It felt like he kind of pushed on it, like he just, you do this on your stand shots, you decelerate,
On my stand shots? Oh, I do. What's wrong on my stand shot? I don't even know what I do wrong.
But most people do. They don't swing hard enough on the sand shot and just go at the ground.
Yeah.
It felt like it was so short. I'm just going to kind of ease it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I hit it. I'm no kicking guru, but it wasn't as typical. He doesn't take that angle.
Yeah. I don't know what do guys typically do left hash. I would think you don't want to kick it straight because then you could really miss it left, right?
Or hit the upright.
So you want to put it out in the middle and just have it work. I don't know. Do you kind of aim at the right post and try and work it back to the middle?
Do you think he was so close? He tried to I don't want to swing too hard to overcompensate. So I'll just, nice, smooth little, it's like when they say just smooth little 8-iron. Then all of a sudden you're chunking, it goes 10 yards.
God, smooth little 8-iron is always a chunk.
So
why is that? Yeah, I don't know. But there's enough out there that things like I just said, it sounds so cliche, but everything sounds great on paper. Oh, the Giants, that'll be no problem. Until you're in the game and it's just 7-7 at halftime. Like that Raider game, they'll find a way. Which they did, but not because it was just that's how it works out for them. It's because they were playing the Raiders, and that's how it works out for them. The Raiders found a way, let's be clear.
I do think Niners-Packers will be on Sunday Night Football or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, Sunday afternoon. I think the early game on Sunday is the CBS game, and then Sunday afternoon is either. Is that the way that one works this year?
Well, to me, the early Saturday game is, Jags-Ravens or Jags-Chargers. That's a lock. You have Saturday night, which will probably be like whoever the 2 seed is between the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs, however they figure that out, against, Patriots, Dolphins. I guess Jets can't do it, whoever Who's the other team? There's one other team left. Oh, the Steelers. That'll be, a Sunday night game. I think they kind of, if the Chiefs are not the 1 seed, someone told me there's a reason they put the Chiefs on Saturday this week against the Raiders to kind of give them, the full week. If they give them Saturday night, they've earned that over the years as like a cash cow for the league.
Saturday week. Wait, you're saying if they're not the 1 seed?
Well, yeah, they don't control their own destiny to be the 1 seed.
Right, got it.
So
if they're the 2 seed,
that they play on Saturday night, but they get a full 7 days, right, against whoever they're playing.
Somebody has to play Saturday night, and they want it to be semi-interesting.
Yes, and then someone told me that it hasn't come out, and it's never going to really be public. But one of the things the owners were cool about doing Monday night with, obviously they got more money, but you know how like the 17th game alternates year to year, home AFC, home NFC, home AFC. Monday Night Football is the same way. Like the NFC take it 1 year, then the AFC take it the next year. It's not just based on matchups and stuff. So it would be the AFC this year. So could there be 3 NFC games on Sunday? And if that was the case, I would say that Minnesota and New York would have a chance to be the morning game. The Niners.
I mean, John, you're talking Dallas, Tampa, probably.
Well, to me, that would be Fox midday, and then the night. You could do either way. I think the Niners, Packers, and Dallas, Tampa would be afternoon, night, right? In some order. Yeah. I don't think you'd go wrong in either one.
No.
I would guess that Niners, Packers will go night.
Over Cowboys, Tom Brady?
I think the Fox Day game does huge numbers.
It does. It does.
I think it's massive in the playoffs. It's always been Buck and Aikman, but yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to act like it's hard. Cowboys are the biggest brand. Brady's probably the most famous player ever. I do think the Niners Packers would be a better game. Feels like.
Yeah, I agree.
If those two teams both got to what game do you want? You ask both. Do you think they'd both say the same thing first?
If you asked which teams, you're saying?
I'm saying Fox and NBC. These are 2 of your games. One of you's getting each one, but you both tell me the first game
simultaneous. You play the simultaneous game,
but do you think they both say Cowboys Tampa? Remember last year the Niners Packers did fucking 40 million people. And that was Saturday night.
I mean, what's the biggest thing you can promote in the NFL right now? If we ranked biggest draws.
In the NFC? Or just as a whole?
Yeah, isn't it just Dallas? Aren't they always? Tom, you're right. It's not.
I feel like an orgy. I feel like some orgy between the Cowboys, Niners, and Packers, and those combinations are the ultimate.
So Niners.
We saw it last year. Niners, Cowboys, Niners, Packers.
So Niners plus Packers. Cowboys individually is stronger, but Tom's lost so much shine. People don't think it's a good game anymore.
Well, is Niners Cowboys the biggest game you think the league could get?
Yes, again.
In a conference game, non-Super Bowl.
Just like it was last year. The only way it would have been bigger last year if it was the conference championship game.
If the league could choose, they would have probably Niners Cowboys, Cowboys Packers, or Niners Packers in the NFC championship game.
You would choose if you could choose. You would choose Cowboys Niners, I believe.
I do too. And then you would have the Niners or the Cowboys play the Packers in the previous round, right?
Yeah. Well, what are the 4 you would want, right? You would want.
I think you'd probably throw Philly.
I think you'd want. Yeah. Well, okay. Philly, Dallas would be pretty good too.
Yeah, I think if the Giants have the right players, they're right there too. If they felt like some of those Eli teams, I don't think it'd go wrong. I remember Niners Giants in that NFC Championship game worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if we Googled the ratings on that, it was probably pretty high. How many people you think watched that thing, 2012 NFC Championship game?
I'm going to say 51 million.
Let's see.
I looked up a bunch of these. I said 51.
57.
Oh. Because I think Niners Cowboys, the Dion Niners, was maybe the highest or one of the 2 or 3 highest rated NFC games ever.
The biggest NFC championship game came the following year, which was actually in 2 years. Remember, it was Niners Seattle, that game,
Yeah.
Harbaugh versus Pete. That was a
Yeah.
couple years later. But the biggest NFC Championship game up to Niners Giants, 57 million, had been like 4 years previously when Favre took on when the Vikings played the Saints. He threw the pick.
Oh yeah, we threw it back across the field.
So they're used to getting, yeah. So honestly, some of those, yeah, Minnesota, New Orleans, 57. There was a Jets Steeler year that got 54. And then the Niners Giants got 57. 57 is a lot of fucking people. I would throw the Giants when
The
they're
Niners
viewed.
a bigger story this year than that year.
Yeah, they've had some momentum.
The Purdy thing has just kind of, I think, captured the nation's imagination.
Well, wouldn't you say the Giants had some equity given that kind of core group had won a Super Bowl 3 or 4 years previously?
Yeah. That's true.
I think Harbaugh was just a spectacle unto himself. I think he had awoke a fan base too. You know,
It just everyone was fascinated by how weird he was. So the Niners game is in the afternoon this week against the Cardinals. In the morning, the Vikings play, and
the Bears.
The Vikings could conceivably lose. The Vikings are 12-4. The Bears are 3-13, and I think it'd be great for the Bears to get stay with the number 2 seed. The Bears are currently +6. +6. It's
so Eberflus wouldn't commit to Justin.
I mean, to me, they should absolutely tank. If they lose this game, they are absolutely the 2 seed. And if they like Justin Fields, that's a hell of a powerful place to be this year in the draft.
Would you risk just like, what if someone falls on him, hurts his knee or something?
I would not play Justin Fields at all. I would tank this game as much as I can take this game if I'm the Chicago Bears.
He's been walloped throughout the year. Wouldn't you just, hey, man, just head to the offseason?
You've seen what you need to see, right? You've seen what you need to see, and you add to it the element of the draft. Like, if you win this game and you win 4, we'd have to do some math here, but there's 3 other 4-win teams. There's 3 other 4-win teams in the league right now.
Can I throw you a curveball?
Yeah.
Those 2 guys did not draft him. I don't know this, but what if they were not that big of fans and they're like,
we should also lose.
What if we flipped him? Now, in a city like that, who clearly likes this guy, they haven't had a quarterback really ever. Can you they couldn't afford to do that, right? Like, you just got to roll with this guy.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I mean, the Cardinals. Even in that scenario, you want to be the number 2 pick, so you get to decide. Well, let's dive into C.J. Stroud and see what we think. And if we like him more, we'll take him. And you know what? Could we get a first for Justin Fields?
Yes,
So, okay, let's just see what we think. It'd be pretty risky.